low-life piece of shit to get involved in politics. Who am I supposed to vote for? Am I supposed to vote for the Democrat who's going to blast me in the ass, or the Republican who's blasting my ass?
Politics is just all one big ass blast.
A woman in politics is like a donkey doing calculus.
That's politics, bitch! That's politics, bitch!
That is politics, bitch! But with global warming...
Dumb science!
Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foul Ball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well, because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much. This is the 126th episode of the MFer podcast, the Thursday show, and I thank you very much for joining me this evening, for spending your night with me. I hope you're having a great week. I'm having an interesting week. I mean, not interesting. It's just very different, right? I talked about on the last show how I moved. I had to move across the country. I had to drive 1,800 miles in my car from Texas to New York, and it was a it was a drive. It was a harrowing journey. But now I'm settling into this little town in like what I would consider upstate New York, and it's nice. It's pleasant. It's small town America, you know. And you kind of like I drove through this country too. I saw a little bit of Salem, Virginia, and I was like, oh. Like, this is nice. Like, small town America is nice. It makes you feel good, right? It's like, you know, I talk about immigration and all these political issues and all this type of stuff. And that stuff's obviously quite real. But, you know, when you live in a city, you have like a unique kind of perspective on all that because it's right in your face all the time. But when you go to these small towns, you're kind of like, oh, this is nice. You know, it's like I see how people could kind of fall into their suburban lifestyle and just kind of forget about all the stuff that's going on around them. So it's been a unique perspective switch, you know, to go from a city to the suburbs. And I don't know, I'm appreciating it. I'm kind of liking it. There are some fucking things. What's up, Papa Cotton? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, homeboy. I just as a warning, just as an alert, because, you know, I got people that hang out in this chat and hang out on this channel. And I'm doing the live stream on the mobile app, on the Shorts feed, which brings in a lot of random people, a lot of crazies. And I made sure that they can't message unless they subscribe and watch for at least 5 minutes. And that's not in a way to like try to lure in subscribers. It's just that the regular subscriber base just gets like swallowed up by all these rando comments. We're like, "Dang, fucking, you know, Trump's actually really good." And it's a total waste. So I wanted to like clear the field for the people who actually hang out on this channel and watch this show to be able to talk. That's what that was about. So anyway, so talking about small town. So I'm in this small town the other day of a town called Hudson. No, not Hudson. Sorry, Kingston. It's one of these kind of, they're like townlets. They're more than like a suburb, but they're not quite like a city, but they have like a downtown area and kind of like a lot of character. And I was like, oh, this is like neat. You know, I hadn't really spent any time in these places. They're pretty cool. However, in Kingston, you know, I guess it's Pride Month, and I kind of forget, you know, I don't even think about this stuff. The only reason I'm aware of it is because of the internet and the memes and like, you know, X and stuff and everyone talking trash about it or whatever. Right. And even in Austin, liberal ass Texas, I would forget that it's Pride Month. You know, they don't really do too much. It's like, oh, a few more pride flags. I barely differentiate that from any other day. You know, I guess they do parades and shit, but I wouldn't know. Well, I'm in this town, downtown Kingston, and it's really cool. It's like this old town that's like pre the Revolutionary War. Like there are like tombstones there of people who died in like 1777, you know, and you're like, whoa, like it's pretty sick. And there's this beautiful like Protestant church in the middle of this town, and it's gorgeous, big steeple, the whole thing. And this entire church is just draped in pride flags. The entire outside, the entire perimeter of the church, just pride flag, pride flag, pride flag. It's all over the door of the church. It's all over the steeple. It's this whole thing. And you're just like, fuck you. Fuck you, you know? Like, what if the Planned Parenthood Center was just draped in MAGA flags? You know? How would you feel about that? Would you feel like that was representing what's supposed to be going on here? You know, if it was just like, you know what I mean? Like the Museum of Tolerance in LA just had, you know, white nationalist flags all over it. Would you feel like that was like an appropriate adornment for that particular building? I'm just looking at this fucking building and I'm like, you motherfucker. And it's so heavy handed. It's so heavy. It's just like every 3 feet on this wrought iron fence. And like, remember, there are tombstones in there from like the 1700s, from like before the Revolutionary War. Excuse me, before the Revolutionary War. They're older than the whole country. And it's just decked out in pride flags. And it's just like, fuck you. You know, it's like this whole thing. What's going on, Zax? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, pal. Good to see you, Chief. But it's like this whole thing. It's like, look, be gay. I don't give a fuck. Why does it need to be broadcast and like, we're gay? Look, we're gay. Oh, fuck. Zax is going to clip that. But it's just like, it's like, all right. You know, go be gay. Why do I have to be included? Why is my participation in this part of that transaction? And I know this isn't exactly a novel take, but I just experienced it, you know? And Kingston's a cool little town. We went out to dinner, had like a great time. You know, we found like a cool brewery. It was sick. It's the type of stuff that like I like. But the pride flags, you're just like, fuck off. Like I was telling my mom, I was like, if these were all MAGA fags, if these were all MAGA flags, these people's heads would explode. They would riot. They'd melt down. They'd be doing protests. There'd be no. But meanwhile, us, you know, on the right, conservatives, you know, we don't like it, but we're decent. We're polite. Maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we should all be out there just burning those flags, you know. But it's like a historical landmark, and it's just like we're all faggots. It's just like, it's just so tiring. It's just. You didn't know white nationalists have flags? I think they do. What's that one with like it's all Papa would know. Papa Cotton, would you inform Zax on the white nationalist flags, please? But it's like the meme. It's all just so tiring. It's all so tiresome. But you know, something else that made me think, and I might do a video about this, and it's something that I kind of want to address with like my brethren on the right. You know, it's something that I think I see too much, and I don't like it. I feel like it needs to change. So there's, you know, in the United States of America, right? Like middle America isn't known for being sophisticated, right? That's not really what it's known for. It's known for its kind of heart, you know, its character, like hard Scrabble, like working on ranches and driving trucks and shooting guns and stuff like that. And look, that's all fine and great. I love that part of Texas, you know. I started buying guns when I was down there. Been to skeet shooting ranges and all that type of shit. I like that. I like country music. You know, I don't love it. It's not my preferable. It's not my what's it called? Genre of choice. But I do listen to country music. I like it. But there's this weird pride. There's this weird like Kulak pride in like being completely unsophisticated, and that's somehow like more American. That's somehow more tough. That's more manly. And I reject this outright. You know, I'm a bit of like an effete, like food and wine snob. Fine. You can say that and you wouldn't be wrong. But I think these things, right? It's like so many of the people on the right, like they're like Europe, that's what white people are. We're Europeans. Europeans built this country. It's uniquely ours. It's uniquely European. And I wouldn't argue. I would agree with that. I mean, it's like historically accurate. It's just been kind of, that's been destroyed and reframed, and the legacy has been completely changed. But the things that we find like excellent things in our culture, like food and drink, those are the fruits of European society. Like excellent wine, you're emulating the excellence that comes out of France or Italy. Like charcuterie boards that they kind of scoff at. Like that's like Italian peasant food. Like that's like the excellence that came out of these countries and these people that have persevered for millennia. Right. These are the fruits of those cultures. Beer is like so German, like that. Even in America, our style of beer, like in these breweries, they're making like it's craft beer, but that means like it's emulating German quality. Right. It's emulating like that kind of excellence. And I think like turning your nose up at it, just being a bug, these guys like lattes. You're like, oh, you mean like the Europeans, who like settled this country that you like, emulate, like Rome. Like I reject that outright. And I think like us on the right, you don't need to be politically right wing and be unsophisticated when it comes to like food or clothing or stuff like that. I think like we should be more elite. We should elevate, because these things are good. Like they enrich your life. They make it better. They make it more interesting and more valuable. And like I said, you are embracing what makes Europe so excellent. Like the things that Europe does excellently, you're embracing that. So I feel like this kind of Kulak culture of just of being like, I'm just a Miller Lite guy. It's like, what do you like, diarrhea so much? Drink a good beer, man. Drink a real beer. Drink a beer made that's like locally by people you might know. Yeah, they're probably trans, but they make good beer. The problem is the culture clash. That's the issue. That's where it comes in, is that because all the people who embrace that, for the most part, the people who make that their lives, who make excellent wine or baristas. I mean, that's basically a synonym for activist. People who do that, they love putting pride flags on their businesses. They love putting their BLM causes all over their stuff. And look, I get that's annoying. But I feel like if we ascend alongside it, then we can, the next excellent sourdough baker could be out there, could be amongst one of you chuds. It's possible. And then we don't have to put up with this shit. We can have an excellent culture with refined quality products, and it's not run by some leftist freak. That's a civilization I want to live in. I don't want to fight to get the culture back, only to have to eat fucking, like country crock and drink Bud Light. Okay. I don't want that. That's not the America I want. I want the excellence that comes with our culture as well. And I feel like it's something we should embrace on the right. We should elevate ourselves. We should be better educated, more refined, better taste. I think that's something we should do. I just don't like that Kulak native. Yeah, well, I just drink the same fucking slop and eat the same bullshit food. It's like, cool, you're unrefined. That's like not interesting. And there's nothing like remarkable or impressive, or that's not character. Like that's you're kind of like afraid to like branch outside of like your, like I used to work at this beer bar, and we had like 100 drafts, like something like that. It's a lot. But these guys would come in, because this was in like North Austin, which is like kind of a blending area of like kind of real Texas and Austin. And these guys would come in and they'd be like, yeah. It's like, what are you doing here then? Why are you here? Right? Like, then don't come into a place with 100 drafts, right? Like, it's like there's a reason we're here, and we're here to provide good beer. If you're like, I don't drink good beer, I drink shit. I've been drinking shit my whole life. I'm going to continue to drink shit. Fucking cool. I can't stand that. That's just a little side rant. But it bothers me. Like, I don't feel like you have to be politically right-wing and completely unsophisticated. I just don't think like those two things need to be the same. What's up, Sherry? Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you, lovely Sherry. Always rocking some new picture for us to it's like an Instagram. She treats her YouTube profile picture like an Instagram, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Sherry. Yes, exactly, Zach. So I like the black squares for solidarity. We're going to talk a little bit about that, actually. We're going to talk a little bit about BLM today. I don't think I have much more to rant about. I don't think there's like anything that I plan to rant about. Oh, trust me, this is the MFer podcast, and on the MFer podcast, we rant quite a bit. No, I just don't think there's anything like unrelated to today's story that I need to get off my chest. Actually, one thing. That's why I do have one thing. So, I, over the past, 8, 9, 10 months, something like that, I don't know how long it's been, have become a pretty big fan of Nick Fuentes. And I think he's the most insightful, one of the best educated, one of the best, has got the best model for prediction of politics today. And I feel like if you're interested in politics and you're curious about this conversation and you want to be a part of it even mentally and you're not consuming Nick Fuentes, you're out of the loop. I think you're behind the conversation and you just need to watch his show. And not just the clips, not just the occasional edit on X or Instagram. Those are great. It's a great place to start, but you should be watching the show at least one a week. Ideally, all of them if you can. And you don't have to watch the super chats, but you should watch the show because that's where you get the meat of it. And the guy, I haven't seen him make a prediction wrong yet. His insight is incredible. If you're curious about this stuff. Well, a few weeks ago, there was a bit of a controversy with him. And a bunch of people, so-called supporters, friends, people on the right, they had a departure. So this was during the Ohio primary. There's a guy named Casey Putsch who was running against Vivek Ramaswamy for governor of Ohio. I didn't really know much about Casey Putsch. The only time I'd ever even hear about him was occasionally my friend Atlas Thugged. He talks about him because he lives in Ohio, so he would talk about him a little bit. Nick's show, people would mention him in the super chats. Occasionally, I'd see something on X. But the general impression I got was no impression at all. He doesn't really have any kind of groundswell. He doesn't have any motion. And so you just kind of don't think of it as all that seriously. And Nick said he wasn't going to put his support behind Casey because he said he didn't believe he had a chance to win. And everybody was just like, oh, giving him shit. Well, it comes out after the primary that he ran a terrible campaign. He didn't do any events. He didn't spend any money. He didn't do any promotion. And then even all these other people were like, he had like a temper. He was melting down. It was a horrible work environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Nick's like, yeah, I knew all this. Like, I have all these people behind the scenes. I knew that this was all a problem. That's why I didn't put myself behind it because I knew he was going to lose and there's no reason. Well, around the same time, the Instagram model, let's call him that because that's about, I think, as much level of prominence as he's actually achieved. The Instagram model, Dan Bilzerian, the fake gambler, the fake professional gambler who just got all his money, I think, from his rich Jewish dad, he decided he was going to run for Congress in Florida. He decided he was going to run for that seat. He was going to go compete with Randy Fine. And Randy Fine, a pretty well-established congressman in a district that Trump carried, I think, by 30%, 30 points, something like that, something absurd. So basically, you're going to come into Trump land, Trump territory, say, I don't like the Jews there, and then unseat like one of the made men on the Trump team. Really? That'd be like me going to Fox News and be like, I'm taking Levin's seat. It's like, that's not gonna happen. Stop. He's in the club. That ain't happening. So, and then Nick rightfully calls this what it is a complete stunt. It's a farce. It's absolutely nothing. And all these people break with him. That comedian Leonardo Joni, Jake Shields, Bilzerian himself, and then a few other people, other commentators. I kind of got into it a little bit with Rebecca Hargraves, who said she's going to do my show when she gets the time. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I take her at her word. She seems like a good person. But she was befuddled by this, and everybody seemed to be befuddled by that. And they're going after Nick, and they're saying, well, why, what are you doing? Why, you're not supporting these guys? They're actually doing something. Well, what is that? How'd that turn out? How does that look today? What's the doing something? What's the deal? Obviously, Putsch completely lost. Bilzerian, he dropped off the face of the earth. I haven't heard hide nor hair of him in weeks. He hasn't done one event for Congress. He hasn't moved that ball at all. That is completely dead in the water. A complete non-campaign. So maybe he knew something. Maybe he had some fucking insight. Maybe he was right. Maybe the guy who's been talking about politics for 10 years and has consistently proved correct time and time again, issue after issue, knew a little bit more than some fucking comedian chick who's like the racist comedian girl. And I don't hate her or anything. She's kind of funny, but who do you think you are stepping into that arena and just being like, yeah, fuck that guy. He doesn't know anything. He's not really doing anything. Or Bilzerian, telling Fuentes, it's like, you don't talk about the Jews enough. It's like Fuentes doesn't talk about, okay, what's even happening? And it's like, yeah, how'd that shape out? How's there just doing something working out now? It isn't, because they didn't do shit. It was stunts, okay? And that's the difference. I mean, I think, look, politics is something that, I've kind of been a part of in my streaming career, if you can call it as such. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It was more like the cultural politics that I was more interested in and discussing. The actual more geopolitics and nuts and bolts and nitty-gritty is something I've embraced more over the past year. But I've kind of gone into it. But look, it's a serious game. It's hard, and the field's packed. And, it does come with a lot of emotion. People get emotional. But these fly-by-night people who just pop into the scene like, hey, what are we doing? I'm fucking calling the shots. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Beat it. Politics is for adults. And so I just thought I had to highlight that because, I mean, most vindicated man award, again, everyone's just coming after him. He's catching all this heat. They're trying to, what was it, the America First United Fest. They tried to do the thing without Fuentes. They tried to basically have Fuentes without Fuentes. How'd that work? All those people are gone. All the Groybeck girl, I don't even remember her name. I can't even remember her name now. Haven't seen shit from her. Bilzerian, haven't seen shit from him. Jake Shields can barely string together a sentence. Leonardo Joni, I don't even know. I guess she's probably being racist in some VFW somewhere. Okay? So shut up, Fucking come with a little bit more. Come with a little bit more than that. If you're gonna make all these dramatic statements, you're gonna say all this type of shit about him, about this conversation, and that's what you got? A stunt, not even a run, just an announcement that you're gonna do it, and then no follow through. Blow me. Craig Butler, what up, dog? Also, I'm friends with Atlas and somewhat Tom Foe, I assume, and I'd love to have you on my new channel after I interview Atlas and Tom. Well, thanks, Craig. I would love to talk to you. DM me on X, brother. DM me on X, Foulball Pro on X. DM me. That's another thing. What the fuck is going on with X? I don't know if anybody else spends as much time on X as I do in this chat, but I spend quite a fair amount of time on X. I am completely shadow banned and suppressed. I don't even have any kind of following on X. I mean, every once in a while a tweet kind of, gets some traction, but I have nothing. But I tweeted out 3 hours ago a tweet that it was about from Politico. And it was basically how it's an article for how the Democrats are going to prevent against election interference. And I was like, oh my God, the sheer audacity. And that's what I tweeted. The sheer audacity 3 hours ago. It has 2 impressions. 2? How is that even possible? I mean, I have 410 followers. It's not a lot, but it should be more than 2. 1, 2 that's all? That's it? 2? I feel like that's 1 is from me when I fucking posted it. I was like, I've never seen this. I didn't know that this was like this. And then I had another tweet from around that same time, 4 impressions. Look, I know I'm not exactly lighting up X, but I feel like I should get more than 2 impressions. What kind of I pay for X. I have a premium account. I feel like if I pay for X, I should get more than 2 impressions on a tweet. Look, it's not a banger. It's not an all-timer. I'll completely confess, but I mean 2? 1, 2? What the fuck, Elon? What did I do? I'm not even that spicy on X. I mean, I'm pretty spicy, but I'm not that spicy. I don't go that hard. I try to choose my words. 2 impressions? What do I have to go to Threads? All my friends are on X. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to a different fucking website. Oh, you said you sent a message there, Craig? All right, brother. I will take a look at it, man. I will get to that after the show, brother. But yeah, looking forward to it. Just post a black square. Good point, Sax. Bro, I should listen to you more. You know what you're doing. I keep thinking the camera's there. It's not. I moved it. It's on a tripod now in between my 2 monitors. And it's weird. Now it's like I see the profile of my face. It's like different. It's a little uncomfortable. And then if I want to address the camera, I have to look that way. I'm not used to it. You've been a part of the Atlas community for 2 years. Dude, he's a fucking real one, dude. He's a real one. Oh, it's Elite Groiper? Fuck yeah, dude. All right, cool. I'll definitely check it out. You've been following ever since the first interview with Atlas. Oh, shit, that's good, because I didn't do great on the thumbnail, and the impressions weren't great on that video. And I was disappointed because, Atlas, lent his time, and I was like, oh, man, I wish I had done better to, get that out in the algorithm. But, yeah, no, Atlas is a great dude. He's a great dude. I do a show over on his channel, on their kind of collective channel, New American Vision. And I do a show over there on Sunday nights called Right Wing Pulse. And that's a fun show, too, because it's basically just watching. I basically just pull a bunch of different podcasts from the week, like Right Wing or specific to the political conversation or the cultural conversation, but more the political one, and then talk about those for 3 hours. But it's a blast. I love doing that show. It's super fun. Papa Cotton just rubbing salt in the wound. Thanks, buddy. I've picked up close to 30 followers in the past 2 weeks. I don't know what's going on. I feel like if a tweet doesn't do well or whatever, I'm just kind of like, oh man, I should word that better. That should be funnier. That should be 2 impressions. How good could a tweet possibly be? How bad could a tweet possibly be to only get two impressions? I've never seen that in my life. I'm like, I'm shadow banned on Twitter. First of all, what did I do on Twitter? What can you do on Twitter to get shadow banned? I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was even possible. I thought Elon was above all that. I don't know. Anyway. All right, let's get into the news today. We're going to get into this story. So not a whole lot has been going on. Plenty is being talked about, but not a lot has changed over the past 2 days since the last time I did this show. And I kind of questioned even doing the show because I wasn't sure if I had enough to really talk about. The Iran war, a big update today. Big update, guys. Trump announced we're very close to a deal. So that's relieving. I was worried because it just keeps going on and on. But Trump said today we're really close to a deal. It just needs to be signed probably somewhere in Europe, which is great. It is exactly what he has been saying for about 3-4 weeks. The exact same thing, that we are this close to a deal. I don't even have the stomach to keep up with it, honestly. It's just so exhausting. It's just I'm like, just wake me up when it's over, man. It's keeping up with because then I immediately go to Drop Site, which is they're liberal, but they're good. And I go to their news outlet, and they're just Iran says we didn't say that. We're gonna have to look at the new deal, and you're just here we go. It's the same shit. There's these sticking points in the deal. Israel wants absolutely everything with zero concessions. Iran wants them to stop bombing Lebanon, and they're like, "Oh, you want us to stop bombing Lebanon? Why? Because it's not our country." And there were just some measly rocket attacks from Hezbollah that killed a handful of Israelis, and we've murdered thousands of Lebanese, most of whom were not even in Hezbollah. Why? You want us to stop doing that? Okay, let us consider that. Oh, wait, we just bombed Beirut as soon as you asked us to do that. So I guess that's off the table. Balls in your court, rest of the world. Because it's literally the rest of the world that wants this done. Iran doesn't want to fight it. The United States doesn't want to fight it. The Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, they don't want to fight it. Everybody's over this shit. We don't like it. It's fucking up everyone's money. The national oil, the global oil supply, is really threatened. Fertilizer, liquid natural gas, it's all being just stuck because of this stupid war. And the Jews and Netanyahu are we don't actually care about any of that. We care about bombing Lebanon. Yeah, because after we completely continued to massacre the Palestinians, like shooting little kids in the head and leveling an entire fucking city, continuing to occupy it, by the way. Hezbollah had a problem with that, and we actually don't care. So we're just going to keep bombing them, and you guys figure it out. Make a deal, Trump. I don't know. Just the worst. It's what they must have an intelligence network and a blackmail operation that would just turn you white. Because I can't understand how this little country has all this influence, even over people you wouldn't think. Like Obama. Obama like had to do all this stuff for Israel. He started a war. Like they've been going around kind of acting about how like, oh hey, the Obama administration, Netanyahu told us he wanted us to fight the war in Iran and we didn't do it. Yeah, except you fought the war in Syria, like a vicious, horrific war. You continued the Iraq war going on, and the Yemenis war too, like where you sided with Al Qaeda against the Yemenis, against the Houthis. So, but it's like a guy like Obama, not even he could resist like massive war. Like, what do they have on these people? How do they move the levers of power? Like when you step into the White House, do they just implant a bomb like in your kid's necks or something like that? And it's like, you better kill a bunch of Syrians. You better start a war with Iran, or you're going to watch your kid's head explode. I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, I can understand that there's pressure, there's blackmail, there's donors, Epstein files, all that. But this, how can no one tell these people no? How can nobody tell these people no? It's crazy. Once you understand the machinations of our political system, it's it's horrifying, but it's pretty easy to identify who the enemy is. Hello, Horror with Nad. Free Palestine? Fuck it. Free Palestine. I'll be a flat out lib about it. Let's go. I don't even what I actually don't even know what that means when they say free Palestine. What does that what do you effectively mean by that? Like free to form a government? Free to let the Gazans and the people of the West Bank? I think it's just kind of a catchy slogan, but the actual solution is a lot more complicated. They should be free to start their own state. But Israel's never gonna accept that. I'm still working on this video about the Iraq war, and it's that's what so much of this Middle East shit's been about, is just hey, we could be human beings and give the people who've lived in this land for thousands of years the right to govern themselves, which they have the God-given right to do. And the world agreed at the Oslo Accords that that's what should happen. Or we could do? We could go to war with every single country that doesn't submit to our will in the region. And which one do you think they picked? They picked the second one. Anyway, Iran is a myth. Craig, oh yeah, I should do call-in shows? Maybe. I could toy with that. That probably would be pretty easy, right? I could just do like a Google phone number. It's like a phantom 1-800 number. Maybe I would do something like that. That'd be maybe I'd do that on Thursday nights. I don't know that I'd want to do it every night, but could be interesting. I don't know. As a Palestinian, I have no idea. Nads. You're the worst Palestinian, Nads. Discord works as well. Oh, that's a good point too. Discord works as well. It's a good thought, Craig. I will dig into that. That's what Atlas does. Oh, he does a call-in show? Really? I never noticed. Am I exposing that I don't watch the entire stream when Atlas is streaming? I do watch his stuff. I do watch Atlas's stuff. Papa. The left was sold the truth about Palestine so the right would dismiss the genocide along with all their wacky bullshit. Oh, that's an interesting perspective. I think you might be right. You might be onto something there. I think that's correct, because that's how it went, right? Early on in the after October 7th, which I was so in the dark about all this shit. I didn't really have a strong opinion about it at all. I was just I don't fucking care. It's not my country. It's horrible. Sucks. Whatever. I don't know. I guess I'm on Israel's side. I didn't know. I was this is all a mess. And then when you see all the wacky libs, you're right. You saw like the Columbia University protests. You're like, well, I'm not on their side. Whatever they're doing, I don't support that. But then you come to work it all the way through and you're like, holy shit, we kind of are on the same side. Now we have a completely different diagnosis of the situation, right? The Hassan Piker types, the leftist types, they look at the Palestine situation and what they see white supremacy, which is got to be the most hilarious thing because it's just like, do you know the organizations that are the most concerned about white supremacy? The SPLC, the ADL. Yeah, they're not white, motherfucker. And if they are white, like genetically, they don't consider themselves white. All right? So it's not about white supremacy and continuing European colonialism. This is a whole other thing. This is a whole other situation that's not related to that at all. But it is funny when they're just like, it's colonialism. So the left is, they suck. They do, you do eventually, you're like, like, I think the MAGA guys are retarded. Like they're, I don't even know what you'd need. Like, what victories can you count on? I've gone over this so many times. I feel so redundant saying it again, but I just look at these. I'm like, what's there to support? Why are you still on their side? There's nothing here. I don't know. But anyway. He's streaming it on Kick. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, dude. Atlas is the G. Mostly on weekends, Kick occasionally on YouTube. Oh, okay. Cool. I'm not white. I'm a woman of color. That's damn right. You are not white. And don't forget that. Don't you forget that, Neds. Got the new chair. Yes, I did get the new chair. Isn't it something? Isn't it amazing? It's more comfortable than a leather chair with metal arms that fucking compress my back. All right, let's get into the actual story. We will talk about the story tonight. So, if you're paying attention, it's kind of hard. I would say if you're paying attention to the news, it's actually not really that accurate. If you're paying attention to social media, I think you'd have a pretty good idea of what's going on. And I feel like most of you guys in the chat, you guys, you're on social media. That's where you're getting your information. Not to say don't read the news or whatever. I'm just saying it's like I feel like if the media runs with a narrative, you guys aren't be like, no, that's what they said on CBS. That's what they said. So that's what's going on. I feel like that's not y'all if you're hanging out here. But if you were to just look at the media, you probably wouldn't really have any idea what's going on in the UK right now. You wouldn't have a good idea anyway. So the other day, I talked about this on Tuesday. Absolutely vicious attack in Northern Ireland, and I don't think it was in Belfast, but it was up in Northern Ireland. And this Sudanese guy absolutely just savagely, like to call it like even an attack is wrong. I mean, he mutilated this guy. He took like a knife and he just cut up his face, cut up his neck. He took out one of his eyes. I think the other eye has like damage too. I mean, it's horrific. And you see him like he's all proud, like some kind of fucking Zulu warrior with like blood, coming down his arm. And like it came out, the guy that he attacked, the guy that he savaged like an animal was like special needs, was like, a half retard or whatever. And apparently was like a really sweet guy and was even, as I understand it, was even trying to help this Sudanese dude move into his like apartment or something like that. He was like being a gentle, kind guy. It's no one really knows what happened before the stabbing because it's like the guy's like in critical condition in the hospital and all we have is the video. But it not typified, but it encapsulated the issue of this mass migration that's going on in Europe. And now all the West is subjected to all this mass migration. But this particular attack, and coupled with the Henry Novak attack that went viral just like a few days before with the I don't think you are, mate, and they came to the aid of his attackers instead of the guy who had been stabbed because the guys were brown who stabbed him and they said it was racist, and that's a far bigger crime than a white teenager getting stabbed. We need to be more concerned about racism. Well, these two events back to back just pushed the UK over the edge. There were demonstrations in Scotland. There were demonstrations in England. I think there were demonstrations in like Southern Ireland or just Ireland. But in Belfast, they sure demonstrated something. They went a lot harder. You could call it rioting. I would say that's a fairly accurate way to describe it. It was certainly violent in the sense that property was being destroyed. I haven't heard of anyone really being hurt in this. They definitely displaced a lot of migrants from their homes. They went specifically, it was organized and it was targeted. And there's these like government funded homes where these migrants live, and they were like chasing them out and burning them so that they couldn't stay. Basically, like the Belfastians had a fucking enough. Like the Irish were just like, this is no fucking way, you know, because the Irish are a different breed, right? First of all, Ireland's small. I was talking to my buddy, you know, from Ireland. He lives in Texas now, but I was talking to him today about this, and he's like, we're a small country, man. You know, we're culturally significant, and it's like they've been fighting off colonialism, you know, and British influence for their entire history. I mean, that's what makes an Irishman actually an Irishman versus like an Englishman. Because genetically, there's actually almost no difference. Like the genetic pool is almost identical. I mean, there have been British soldiers in Dublin for like over 1,000 years. But what makes the Irish people Irish is their culture. This is something my buddy explained to me because I didn't really understand it, you know, because when Americans, like I'm of Irish descent, right? You know, my grandmother's last name is McCarthy, and her family's from Cork, from County Cork. Apparently that's as common as Smith over there. But apparently in Ireland, you know, and then the Irish kind of get bent out of shape when you call yourself Irish if you're from the United States or you're from any other country. And they're like, no, you're fucking not. And I asked my friend kind of gently so I could just kind of get an explanation as to why that is. And he goes on to explain. He's like, because it's not about that blood. It's about the culture. It's about like the Celtic culture and the Irish culture that, you know, you carry, that you hold, the way you're raised, your values, you know, the religion, all those things. That's what makes an Irishman Irish. It's not just that you were born there. It's that you embrace the culture. And so throwing all these outsiders into Ireland is particularly egregious because it's all about the culture in that country. And these people have a completely contrarian culture and probably no way to really absorb it. I mean, we see it, you know, all across Europe, these people who just have a completely different value set, a completely different religion. And because of the fucking soft wanker shitty EU and the European governments, they bend over backwards to accommodate these people. And these people come to the other country that's obviously more prosperous, obviously safer, obviously with better institutions, better hospitals, better everything. That's why you're here. And they demand that it changes to meet there to accommodate them. Install mosques, you know, do the call to prayer. You know, don't have dogs, all this shit, all these things that like to accommodate their fucking culture. It's like, well, hey, asshole, if your culture was so good, why don't you go fucking back there? Why don't you go back to wherever the hell you're from? Whatever dusty, oppressive, broken down shithole that you come from. Why don't you go back there? If you want this country to look like yours, why don't you just fucking stay in the one that you left, asshole? But anyway, right. Okay. So back to the Irish. So the Irish feel particularly offended by this because it's such a, because the cultural identity is so much stronger. And the Northern Irish and the Irish in general, like there was like a lot of hot fighting in the 20th century, you know, with the IRA and fighting the English influence. And so there's a lot of well-trained and well-armed Irishmen, even though it's like extremely illegal. And they push back pretty hard. They pushed back pretty hard on this conflict. And, well, the media has their own take. Let me read the chat, and then we're going to read this article. America First, 21. America First, 2,700 and 1,000 tops. If America is a nation is its people, and if those people are replaced and will not exist any longer, that means the nation dies with the people. Based. 100%. I like your name there, sir. Papa Cotton, Papa Algodone. Flooding countries with 70 IQ retards comes with consequences. Yeah. Could you imagine that? Can you imagine that? You know, like people with a abnormally high testosterone and an abnormally low IQ might cause problems in a society. especially a society built on like egalitarianism and consideration and kindness and neighborliness, and Christian values. Could you imagine that those people from like these fucking savage nations where you literally have to cut someone's hand off if they get caught stealing so they understand that it's wrong? You think introducing hundreds of thousands of them into the culture might actually have some negative consequences? Isn't that it's you couldn't have convinced me. I was all for it. Obviously, how could you have seen this coming? But then when, of course, it happens, you're like, oh, wow, there really were some consequences to that. What do you know? What do you know? Todd Baker, what's up, homeboy? The Saxon have woken, gone woke. Dang, what's the phrase? Arisen. Is that too blasphemous? I don't think so. Thank you for subscribing, Knight Britain. Appreciate you, homie. Exactly. Where's Lord of the Rings when you need them? I know. We need the fellowship. I mean, they're out there, dude. They're just wearing balaclavas and throwing Molotovs. Kenny. Hi, new sub. Kenny from the UK. England just found your channel. Things here are getting worse for the natives every day. This shit is going to hit this fan very soon. Fucking A, Kenny. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It's like... I think the United States and Europe have kind of been at odds for a while. I know England's like a little bit different than Europe, but it's kind of all Europe. But we've seen things differently for a long time, but I think we're really starting to recognize that, like, wow, all of our civilizations are under attack kind of equally in different ways, but are being demonstrably like maliciously undermined and destroyed. And it can't, I don't even know how you could look at it from any other perspective. The article I'm going to read, you could just see how disingenuous and duplicitous their descriptions are, because it does seem like that is the goal. And I don't mean like in some kind of roundabout way, in some kind of like, well, it kind of works out this way, so it's like the goal, and I mean that hyperbolically. No, I mean like literally, like authentically, accurately, I feel like that is the goal, is to like almost balkanize the West and kind of diminish white people and Europeans as any kind of a force politically or even militarily, so that we are weakened, that we are lamed, so that we can't actually stand up for ourselves or keep our society going and carry the banner for Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I think that's really what this is about, because it sure seems like it to me. I don't have any other interpretation other than that. It's like, even if you were compassionate, it's like, why does your compassion not extend to the host population? Why does your compassion not extend to all the girls who were groomed by these Pakistanis and viciously raped? When you read those descriptions, it's really the most disgusting things you could imagine. I can't even imagine it. It's like to read it, it's just so like, it's like reading medieval whenever you read like medieval torture and stuff, and you're like, wow, that's so creative. It's like that. It's like, it's that level of darkness, and it's happening every day. And people in your country are being arrested for talking about it negatively in private, conversations and social media posts. And it's just like, okay, so this clearly is the point, is to undermine these societies. There's a malice here. And I'm really not actually all that concerned as to why. I'm kind of more concerned about preserving it. And it's pretty fucked up. Final Glance. What's up, Final Glance? What's up, Mike? Wait, what if the Sudanese acknowledge that they are on stolen land before if they do their land acknowledgements? Well, we didn't actually ask what his pronouns were, so maybe that was the confusion. Maybe the guy he misgendered this Sudanese guy. And that's the other thing too, is like these women, these fucking women who are like, me foreigners, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how do you think things are gonna go for the women, for you, little white girl, when like the Indians are in charge and the Pakistanis? How do you feel like that's gonna turn out for you, actually? You talk about rape culture in the West. They actually have a real rape culture. It's just culturally normal to rape. You think that's going to be great when they're running the society? Fucking dumb bitches. Kenny, Starmer is ruining the special relationship with America. Please know that it is not the will of the people. Our government is tyrannical. Sadly, never thought I would see the day. No, I've gathered pretty broadly that it is not. It's not the will of the people. In fact, the will of the people constantly seem to vote against immigration. And no matter what you do, no matter what you vote for, you continue to get these horrific outcomes that, are so dire. Like I said, in the United States, it's more of a slow death, because we're not, the violent consequences are there. I mean, they are there. It does continue to happen. Horrible things are happening, you know, like Lake and Riley and those people that do get killed by this stuff. But it's just not the same. But these other African cultures, what they are bringing to the UK and the Pakistanis, like en masse, what they're bringing to the UK is I mean, it's like a crusade level event. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It's like the type of thing where it's like everyone needs to pick up arms and chase these people out of this country because it's just insane. It's utterly insane. But I'm aware that I know. I listen to Carl Benjamin and the Lotus Eaters and stuff, and I'm pretty keyed in to that kind of perspective over there. So absolutely, Caleb. Absolutely. We'll put our differences aside, you know. I'll even call it football. You know. I'll watch cricket, whatever. You know, let's put our differences aside. Go have a ball on that pitch. Okay? Papa Cotton, are we really supposed to believe that all these mud hut people just decided one day to migrate to the UK? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, it's like they just like Eureka. One day they just thought it was going to happen. Well, it's the same thing as those migrant, what they call them? Not flotillas, caravans that were coming into the United States. It was like, clearly this is organized. Clearly there's someone letting these people know that the party's on. The gates are open. Head your way in. Yeah, 100%. I'm Gin River. All right. It's very clear UK politicians are representing the interests of third world countries, not indigenous, as a way of addressing economic disparity. I think that's part of it. But I also think there are some bankers who have a vested interest in weakening and destroying the West. I mean, you have Benjamin Netanyahu basically describing all of the West as Rome. Right, describing like all of it is Rome, right? It's an extension of Rome, and they hate Rome. They want to go to war with it. They want to destroy it, and they admit this. This is not something that they hide. This isn't something that they, you have to interpret their words. They literally say it. You know, you have Eric Weinstein goes to the Middle East and flips off this arch. This historical arch that represented like a victory against Jerusalem and the Jews. And he flips it off 2,000 years later. He's still fucking mad about it. And if they look at the West, all of the West as Rome, then this starts to track actually a little bit. This starts to make sense. There does seem to be some calculated efforts here made to undermine the West. And you have to be like, well, why? Oh, well, they look at it all as Christendom, and Christendom to them is evil. So they has to be stopped. Oh, this is a spirit. This is a fucking holy war. This is a crusade. Okay, makes sense. Matthew 24:12. Do I know Matthew 24? I vainly read Matthew because it's my name, which is not, I shouldn't sin while reading the Bible. But I was kind of curious what Matthew said. Jesus prophesies the end times, warning, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. Oh. The rise of sin, the cooling of love, call to endure. But one who stands firm to the end will be saved. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, boys. I like that. Good call, Todd. I'm Gin River. A temp ban on sub-Saharan Africans is not an option. It's preferred to put the indigenous at risk. 100%. And it's like, why can't it be a fucking ban on everyone? Why do we even have to be specific about it? But yeah, I mean, it should be. It should be. I'm not trying to be like fucking progressive here. But I mean, like, these countries are full. We're actually good. I know the United States, we're good. We're good. Unless you're going to be like some European engineer or someone who's going to create some real, value, going to create increase the value of the United States. We're full, bro. We are full. We have enough people, man. Thanks. Actually, immigration moratorium for a decade. Especially if you're just a low-skilled worker. We've got enough. But I absolutely hear you. Caleb, they have tribalism already, and they're just using it on sports. Yeah, I mean, I guess you do see that, like, that's where the tribalism comes from, right? And it's true, too, in Europe, right? I mean, if you, like, the different football clubs, like, they'll fight you. Like, my buddy's from Italy. He's from Rome, actually. And he was saying that, a cousin of his, because he doesn't even watch soccer, but a cousin of his is, like, a big fan of one of these clubs, and he was like, making fun of him, and his cousin was like, dude, you need to stop saying that. Like he was taking it personally, like I had to fight him. And it's just like they do take it seriously. Yeah, you're right. Just transpose that onto your race and your family and your town and your country, and then we're going to get somewhere. England is the same size as Michigan. We have the exact same problem. We're just bigger and it's noticed less. Yeah, I mean, this country is huge. Like I drove across this entire country to be with my family, and I drove 1,800 fucking miles across this country. And I mean, it's big. It's so vast and big, and it's just really easy to hide. And, there's just something too. When I was driving, I've been eating bullshit, fast food, whatever, because it's just the most easiest, convenient thing to do. I just need to keep driving and get on the road. Well, there was one day I'm driving through West Virginia, and I was like, you know what? I just want a real sandwich. And I looked at Google Maps, and I found a spot that was like, oh, we got the best Phillies. And I was like, fine, let's go. Let's do that. And I go there. Sandwich was okay. It was messy, and it just wasn't great. But the woman working there was fucking Mexican. And I'm like, she was nice. She's pleasant. She's fine. But I'm like, in West Virginia? I want a fucking redneck. I want a redneck in West Virginia. I don't want Consuela. Our country is becoming homogenized by a different country's culture. It fucking sucks. And it's like, I'm really not like hateful. I'm not. I know that's going to sound crazy, but I'm not. Like, I don't mind. And America is different. It's different than England. It's bigger. There's more room for diversity. And I like different cultures and stuff. And earlier in the show, I went on a rant for like different foods and shit. But what happened to fucking moderation? What happened to a degree of control on this? Where it's everywhere you go. You got to have taco stands and, like day laborers and just the same music everywhere you go. Really? What about our fucking culture? They're so precious with these other people's culture and where they come from. What about ours, huh? What about the one that actually created something great? What about the one that created these giant buildings and monuments, and museums and art and Hollywood and New York fucking city? What about the people who created all that? Do we not get to, can we not have pride in that? Do we not get to keep that? Why? Because of fucking slavery again? Is that what this is? It's all such bullshit. I mean, our culture is just, it's like spit on and everybody comes to it. Everyone's here for it. You're like, well, what do you like about it so much then? Well, you just want the money? The money will go without the foundation, without the infrastructure. Then it'll just be another, Guadalajara. It'll be another fucking wherever. Mexico City. It's all by design. I just wish we had the right to carry arms. We have nothing to defend ourselves with. It's okay for Sikhs to carry knives, for illegal for us. That was the craziest hypocrisy that came out of this. I don't think I knew that. I don't think I knew that the Sikhs were allowed to carry ceremonial knives. And I was like, yeah, okay, a ceremonial knife is just as deadly as a non-ceremonial knife. It's just about the edge of the blade. And so, that is crazy. Because at least, at least in some parts of the United States, you're allowed to carry a gun. In New York, I looked into the gun that I own. I own a few guns, but like the one that was a problem was this Glock I have, this Glock 45, which is basically a Glock 19, but with a 17-round magazine. And in Texas, I mean, it's not even registered. There is no state registry in Texas. You don't have to register your guns, and you can have as many as you want. There are some restrictions, but not many. But if I brought that gun into New York State, right, unregistered as it was, and the capacity that it has, it was an automatic 5 years in prison just to cross over the border with the gun. Now, obviously, I have to get caught with it, but if I did, automatic, minimum. It's a minimum sentencing of 2 years for, I think, it's 2 years for the magazine size and 5 years for the unregistered gun. Minimum, automatic. I understand, it's different, but it's bro. I was like, geez, fucking crazy. The broom of Judaism. Fucking A, Caleb. Fucking A. If they wanted to stop this mass immigration, they could. First thing Starmer done when Labor won the election was meet Larry Fink, BlackRock. My friend Connor was telling me, and I don't know, I haven't looked into this, but they were almost talking about having quotas now for refugees. Quotas they have to meet. Like a quote, I haven't done any follow-up research. That's just something he said. It might not be true. But it's like, if that is true, you have to, why would you have to meet quotas? It's like, unless your goal is to completely undermine the society and destroy the native population, weaken them, make them violent so that they eventually get arrested. America has 100 million we don't need. Fucking A, Rich. Fucking A. Do you think the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones was some kind of signal for the start of this? I don't really know. I haven't really dug into like the esoteric or the conspiracy theory stuff and that kind of like interpretive shit. I don't really know. But when I was in Kingston the other day in New York, I saw this tombstone and it had the Masonic symbol on there. And I was like, there is more to that Mason shit, because they continue to perpetuate these symbols. There's something there. It's like the one eye thing. Like, they do all that shit. It's like, that's still around. They still think the symbols are worth putting in our media and shit. So it's like, it must have something behind it. But I haven't dug into any of that stuff anymore. England is my city. Let's fucking go, Mike. There is no white culture, they say. I know. Walter, we are weak. That's why this is happening. We need to stop being nice. Fucking A. What's up, Joe? I'm doing just fine, brother. I'm doing fine. Thank you for checking in, my friend. I'm with family now. Not the best circumstances, but hey, it is what it is. What's up, Grimdark? How you doing, homie? How you doing? All right. Let's. Oh, okay. Well, Kenny's saying they want quotas for them to be able to vote so labor stays in power. Same thing as the Democrats here. It's the same strategy, same exact strategy. Check out the Fabian Society. Interesting stuff. I've heard of this, but I don't know much about it. But I will check it out. It's funny. I had to get a new keyboard because mine broke on the move, and now it's the loudest keyboard ever. It sounds like an old typewriter. All right. Let's talk. I wanted to read this article, and this was from the New York Times today. I thought it was pretty funny because of just like, we've talked about all this stuff, right? We've talked about the circumstances. We talked about that poor bastard getting stabbed and all that type of shit. And I wanted to share with you how the UK, how the New York Times frames this story. It was pretty fascinating. What's up? What are you saying, Mike? Labor is looking to rejoin the EU, in which case they would be fined if they did not accept a certain yearly amount of refugees. Is that true? Bro, the West is under attack. It's crazy, man. Don't check out the Fabian Society. This person is a moron. Don't you talk to my super chat, my chatters like that. How dare you, Mike? You're going to come here, you show respect, all right? I'll expose you. I'll put your Twitter in the bio. I'll have in the chat. I'll have everyone just DM you dick pics. All right. So it's from the New York Times. Okay. So listen, I mean, just the title, the headline alone, right? In the UK, a violent cycle, hateful attacks, right-wing agitation, and riots, right? If you didn't know anything about the story, if you didn't know the truth of this story, how would that headline sound to you? It would sound like fucking neo-Nazis were goose-stepping up and down up and down Ireland and right outside of like the palace there. It's like, dude, these people, like, if you read the accounts of the girls who got raped, like the rape gangs in UK, I mean, it's like, I said this last week, I don't condone this because it's, political violence. I'm against it because I don't think it works. And unfortunately, when white people do it, the system steps up right away. Boom, they're ready to stop you. One person's killed in Charlottesville and they'll talk about it for fucking years. Dozens of people were killed during the BLM riots. No one ever talks about that shit. Not even the right. It never even comes up anymore. So when the right do it, or when the right does it, they come down hard. So I don't even know if it's like a great idea, but considering the situation, I'm surprised it took this long. I'm surprised it took this fucking long. I'm surprised that these riots didn't happen sooner. Honest to God. Like I said, I'm not endorsing it. I'm not saying go do it, but considering the circumstances, it's just like, it's a tremendous amount of patience. I don't know. But anyway, so you see this, these headlines, 2 stabbings have fueled violent protests in England. Like, do you see how they just, they brush over that? They just gloss right over 2 stabbings. Oh, you mean one where it appeared the guy was attempting to behead the guy, blind him, maimed him for life, and the other one where a kid was killed and the cops arrested him and watched him bleed out? You mean those stabbings? Are those the ones you're referring to? And it couldn't possibly be, because those were like racially motivated murders and maimings and failures of the state to protect its own people. Those are not just stabbings. Violent protests in England and Northern Ireland in the last 10 days, fanned online by right-wing voices in Britain and across Europe. It's a grim pattern. It's a grim pattern. It's not even a pattern. What's the pattern? These are novel. These are explosions of rage because of just how much horrible things keep happening to the people of England, of the UK, by these awful immigration policies and this clearly malicious intent to destroy these ancient nations. Thousands of years old. I mean, the British Empire was like the empire of the world. And, fuck them. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts. And the way they talk about it. The cycle of violence and right-wing agitation in Britain has become all too frightening and frequent. Frequent? This never happens. They go to fucking jail for memes. It can start with a stabbing. Horrific in nature. And that's his qualifier. Well, it's horrific. It's horrific in nature. That causes fear and anger. Fear and anger. Condemnation from political leaders and law enforcement swiftly follows. But when the attacker is an immigrant or a person of color, a malign, distorted narrative often explodes onto the internet. Oh, does it? Is it a maligned and distorted, or is it the actual narrative? Is it the actual truth that these people can't coexist? These people do come from savage countries and they do behave in savage ways. And the government is encouraging it, not protecting its people. They wouldn't even admit that those rape gangs were real. Even, in the early days of Grok, I looked up that type of shit, and Grok was insistent, no, it isn't. It's not. It's actually, no, they've been going on for a long time. They lied. Even the AI couldn't see through the bullshit. And now now they finally admit, well, okay, it's an issue. And so, there's a distorted narrative. Is there a distorted narrative, or is the truth? Is the truth actually allowed to come out? Right-wing politicians and commentators seize on it to foment outrage in support of their anti-immigration agenda. Do you think when George Floyd happened, do you think when Mike Brown got killed, do you think the New York Times was writing articles by saying that they seize on the event to foment outrage? I don't think they did. I don't think they did at all. I think what they did was, this is clearly indicative of institutionalized racism and the systematized extermination of all the brown, whatever the fuck bullshit, right? But when white people actually stand up for the truth, which is the fact that these people just continue to terrorize the people of England, and as they pointed out, they have no way to defend themselves, absolutely no way to do it. That they're fomenting rage. They're using it for their support of their anti-immigration agenda. It's like, well, why do they have an anti-immigration agenda? Because of shit like this. That's why. Why do you even need a pro-immigration agenda? That's this thing that is always kind of just taken as a given, that the West just needs immigration. We just have to have it. It's like, do we though? Really, do we? What will happen if we don't? I'm not saying I don't want, I want no immigration. I mean, I want it to be stopped for a long time, and I'd like to prioritize Europe, but what happens if we just stop having immigration? Will the country implode? Will we all kill each other? Will the economy destroy itself? I don't actually think any of that will happen. I think you'll start having to pay your people a living wage, and we'll actually start to be kind of organized and voting, and we won't be diluted. We'll be able to organize in our own interests against the interests of the elites. I don't think I don't think the countries will just end. But my entire life, it's always just a given that you need to have immigration. Oh, it should be. Should it be? Why should it be? Why exactly? Make the argument, in past times, sure. In the 20s and 30s, it's we needed a lot of industrial workers. We had the Industrial Revolution. We needed a lot of people who were willing to come to this country and contribute and get jobs and work tough, dangerous, brutal jobs to help the country's industry. Then prior to that, we needed people who were crazy enough to go out onto the frontier and settle the country and settle the frontier. We needed that. Do we need it now? I'm sorry. What is the grand need in this country? I don't see it. We have quite enough people. Thank you. Quite enough. Within hours, the anger this is my favorite part too. These politicians and commentators seize on it to foment outrage in support of their anti-immigration agenda, aided by social media algorithms that feed on conflict and division. Within hours, the anger they stoke online has jumped to the real world, setting off protests that become angry riots. Hey guys, you know how, what was it, Kenny? You're saying that you live in the UK and you guys are just like, it's an absolute nightmare and your country's being taken out from under you. You actually don't feel that way. I know that you think that you feel that way. I know you think that you have these thoughts and you're observing these realities and this is how you view the world. But actually, it's just because right-wing people online said it, and then you have an upset feeling about it. Just so you know, according to the New York Times, that's the case. People on the ground actually aren't angry, and they wouldn't even be angry if it wasn't for right-wing commentators and politicians stoking dissent and hate. Just so you know. You have no way to monitor your own feelings. You have no way to assess any kind of situation. It's just because people online said it and then you got mad. These fucking people. And like I said, meanwhile, like that's not the case when it comes to BLM. That's not the case when like any kind of Muslim out riots happen. Like that's none of that. None of that is stoked by any kind of character. None of that is rage that's like fueled. No, that's all righteous indignation, and they're correct to do it. When white people do it, it's because these online commentators just stoke rage because of their anti-immigration agendas. It's just such fucking horseshit. It's so demeaning. And this guy is white who wrote this. Richard Shear. And he's from London. He's the chief UK correspondent at the New York Times, covering British politics, culture, and diplomacy around the world. Fuck you, Mike Shear. Fuck you. He's a bitch. Oh, you can email Mike Shear if you want. Michael.shear@newyorktimes.com. He's also on X. This is just information I'm passing along. This is public. It's on the website. Just letting you know. Just information. That's all. There are pleas for calm and promises of action by government and law enforcement, but soon afterward, the cycle begins again. Twice in the last 10 days, vicious knife attacks in England and Northern Ireland have followed that pattern. At least they're actually acknowledging that the attacks were vicious. On Tuesday and Wednesday, protesters in Belfast were furious about an attack by a Sudanese refugee, set fire to cars and property, and hurled objects at police. That followed a night of angry rioting in Southampton last week after a new video was released of them in the murder in December. In the murder in December, that is really weird, was released in the murder in December of an 18-year-old college student. That was tough to read. Who was falsely accused by his attacker of having perpetrated a racist assault. Look, I'll give them credit. At least they're telling some of the truth here. They didn't really get into they should have, like, the attack on the Sudanese refugee. Maybe in this link, it'll explain like that he was, stabbed in the eye and permanently disfigured. The guy was trying to cut his head off. Those details actually matter. Because it's not like it was a disagreement. It wasn't like they got drunk at a bar and one thing led to another and one guy stabbed this other guy. Like the dude was like mentally handicapped and they tried to kill him. They tried to cut his face. You could even see in the video the guy couldn't even really fight back. And some other guy had to come in there with like a hurling bat and crack him in the head. And my buddy said, my Irish buddy said, the part that made him the most upset, the part that fucked him up the most was in the video. You could hear people being concerned that like for their own selves, that if they stood up to this guy, that the police would arrest them. He's like, that was the most upsetting part to him because he's like, they're correct. And their fear that the state will hurt the people, that they will persecute these good Samaritans who want to save this poor bastard's life. They might be persecuted by the police because he's fucking Sudanese. He's an immigrant. He's got this special magic aura around him that protects him, from the law. And it's real. It's a real thing, that the state actually imbues these people with. So And when he said that, I didn't really think about that, but that's true. That's actually really depressing. That's really depressing. Thank you for subscribing, Not So Private Playlist. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate ya. I'm Jin River. Respectfully, Israel is in no contention with Europe as you describe. Rome is not the enemy. Talmud write how Europe will have eyes closed when invaded. I am looking at the text. Israel, Europe, same enemy. Respectfully, Israel is in no contention with Europe as you describe. Rome is not the enemy. Well, I don't know about the Talmud. I mean, I feel like the doctrine has evolved, and this is things that they say. This is what Benjamin Netanyahu says. There's a clip of him saying, yeah, we lost that one to Rome. We're not going to lose the next one. The West is Rome in his eyes. That's how they look at it. Some of them, the powerful, influential ones, the ones who promote this shit. Okay. There's a playbook, said Ciaran O'Connor, a senior analyst at the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, which researches extremism, hate, and disinformation globally. I bet he's a real honorable guy. I bet he's a straight, honest, real shooter. Probably deals with these things accurately as he deals with disinformation globally and hate. An incidence of violence like this is identified and rapidly amplified by not just domestic, but a global, transnational, far-right ecosystem that uses such incidents to absorb them into their own kind of international narrative. It's all bullshit, guys. None of this is real. The rape gangs, that's just a feature of modern society. This guy getting stabbing, it's got nothing to do with race or culture. Don't observe these things. You know, the fact that white birth rates are plummeting and they're importing all these people who reproduce like rabbits and also have nothing but contempt for the host population. These are narratives. These are just international far-right narratives. That's not real. You need to bend over for these people. You need to lay down your life and the life of your children and the prosperity of the society that you and your ancestors helped create because, gee, God, don't you think how hard it is coming from Sudan? You know, how hard the Somalis have it? You know, the Venezuelans, gosh golly, don't you feel bad? Okay, give up your civilization now. And if you have a problem with that, that's part of a international, transnational, far-right ecosystem-based narrative. The contempt with which they have for you. The contempt with which the way they speak about the way you think and the way you organize the world. These are the smuggest, most self-important pieces of shit in the world, dude. It's like that whole thing with like the media, like being the enemy is like abso-fucking-lutely. And clearly this guy's working lockstep with the British government. Right, the British government that promotes all this shit, clearly this guy works in lockstep with them. Obviously, they're on the same page because he's promoting this fucking far-right, fucking bullshit. Like, when on the political spectrum do you become far-right when you don't want your friends, family, or neighbors stabbed to death by a Sudanese immigrant? When do you not wanting that? When do you what part makes you far-right? When do you become far-right? Like, it's the most ridiculous fucking thing that they say. It's like, I am far right, but that's neither here nor there. Like, I'm far right because I organize the world around me and I realize I feel like that's the solution that's necessary to bring order back to these societies. But it's like, it's not like it was a predisposition that I was born with. You know, like it was like my religion was being on the far right. It was like, no, I looked at the world around me. I analyzed the politics. I read up on it. I listened to a lot of different people. And this is the conclusion I made because I think it's correct. But they make it sound like it's a mental condition, like you're schizophrenic if you're far right. It's like, or maybe we're just accurate. Maybe we're just correct. And that's why there's all these institutions and psyops and organizations to suppress every single person who might be white and on the right too far. You know, maybe that's the why. Maybe that's why Michael Shear writes this article. And by the way, on this article on New York Times, no comment section. And no comment section. And they didn't put it on X. They put many of their other articles on X. Not this one. I wonder why. I wonder why they didn't put this one on X or leave a comment section for people to share what they thought. It's a mystery. We'll never know. We'll never understand why. He said the dynamic has become alarmingly familiar and even predictable. I'm sitting here looking at these protests and these riots being like, fucking finally, boys. Like, What took you so long? Like, I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm surprised it took this long. And they're like, oh, this is like run of the mill. This happens every day. Really? Predictable as clockwork. Okay. All right. Zax, fucking A. We should take far right as a compliment. Right on. Fucking A. Britain is not alone. Across Europe and in the United States, ascendant right-wing political groups, let's go, boys, we're ascending, are amplifying the frustration and anger that people feel in the wake of a scary episode. And funneling, it's like, they make it sound like it's just a one little episode. One little thing. If it was one little thing, there wouldn't be these riots, man. The British and the English and the, Irish, they've been put through so much, and they kind of put up with a lot of it. I'm not even shitting on them. I mean, if you talk bad about it, you go to jail. So I understand why they're hesitant to throw away their life in protest of this stuff. But they make it sound like it's just one little thing. It's like it has been years of this shit. Years and years and years of just punishment from the third world coming into these countries. And like, by the way, like Britain as a country might be prosperous, but the people aren't like particularly rich. Like there's a pretty big underclass or middle class, or well, I guess no real middle class, but like what do they call them over there? There's something, you guys have a different term for, like the middle class is not our middle class. Like our middle class is like, we would say like a guy who works as a mechanic is like a middle class, but y'all's middle class is like the rich people here. They're not the royalty, they're like the middle class. And then there's like the I don't know, the proletariat. I don't know, whatever I don't know how you guys organize your society, but it's you guys use different, you ascribe those terms differently. But still, there's a lot of broke people in England is my point. It's not like they're all just, it's not like it's Saudi Arabia or fucking, UAE. Everyone's just driving around fucking Lamborghinis. Like housing ownership is tough. It's tough to like make a living. The taxes are insane. It's like, it's, to take all that from these people, it's so unforgivable. Britain is not alone. Across Europe and the United States, ascendant right-wing political groups are amplifying frustration and anger that people feel in the wake of a scary episode and funneling it towards hostility to immigrants. They're unrelated. They're just funneling it towards these immigrants for no reason. It's completely unrelated. They're just mad, and they're dumb chuds, so they're just mad. They take it out on immigrants for no reason. Researchers say the pattern is followed. Oh, researchers. Oh, I bet these guys are reliable. Really, I'm sure they're reliable. Let me know where these researchers are. By the way, they don't even say. They don't say what school. They don't say who funds them. They don't say anything. They just say researchers. It's like, well, who the fuck are they? Researchers say the pattern is followed by members of the far-right Alternative for Germany, or AFD, in Germany, or France's National Rally Party. People who don't want immigrants, that's automatically violent. Meanwhile, people who do want immigrants, that's not violent, even though it foments so much violence. We have moved from stoking hatred online to actually bringing it into the streets in a variety of ways, says Marta Lorimer, a lecturer in politics at Cardiff University. We're certainly seeing a blurring between this online world and what is happening in the real world. And part of the problem is that the political class doesn't quite seem to know how to deal with it. Ms. Lorimer said Britain is especially vulnerable because it shares the English language with the United States, which she said makes it easier for right-wings group there to use the American-based social media companies. Yeah, once again, they're just stoking anger from afar. It's not real. You're not actually angry. You're only angry because some guy on the internet told you to be angry, because you're an idiot, because you're a dumb fucking shut, according to the New York Times and according to Ms. Lorimer and the British government. It's just unfucking believable. That was the case on Tuesday when Elon Musk, the owner of Epps, called for people to repeatedly and loudly protest in Belfast. He highlighted an image that listed protest locations distributed by Tommy Robinson, an anti-Muslim agitator in Britain with multiple criminal convictions. Yeah, weren't his multiple criminal convictions like speech crimes? Didn't he like say something bad about Muslims or some shit like that? And that's why he's got criminal convictions. I mean, if I was in England, half the shit I just said on this stream would probably get me locked up. Like their speech laws are insane. They're absurd. They're disgusting, despicable. I don't know much about Tommy Robinson, and he kind of works for the Jews, so I don't really give a shit. But I think his criminal convictions were literally just speech crimes. I don't know. The whole of the UK is hitting the streets tonight at 7 p.m. following yet another invader attack on our people, Mr. Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Zaxley Lennon, wrote on X. Nigel Farage, the leader of Britain's populist right-wing Reform UK party, has used both the recent knife attacks to push his major anti-immigration policy, which is funny because isn't it Rupert Lowe? Isn't Rupert Lowe the guy that people in England are really rallying behind? It is. He's the guy that they actually like. Nigel Farage, I think, is the kind of like establishment guy that they'll put up with because he's moderately better on the issue. But I think Rupert Lowe is the guy that they actually like. And I don't think in this article, and I read another article by NBC, they didn't even mention that motherfucker's name. And you're like, that's suspicious because they mentioned the Reform UK party, or no, what's it called? Return. Oh shit, I forgot what it's called. It's not Reform, but it's like another party. They mentioned the party, but they didn't mention Rupert Lowe. It's like, it's his party. It's his movement. Didn't mention him because they don't want to legitimize him. Because this is all tactical. This is all psyop. This is for people like boomer libs and elitist libs who don't actually give a shit about understanding the truth. They just want to be on the right side of the issue. They want to be on the enlightened side of the issue. And they want to read this and know that, all these chuds in the UK are just violent racists. And why can't you just accept, immigration? And meanwhile, she treats her housekeeper like shit. You know what I mean? She lives in a completely gated off, isolated society with so much wealth and power. She doesn't even need to deal with these problems. But she knows that you're a chud. You're a racist. And you're turning to right. And this is what this article is for. Is a tactically designed article to undermine any kind of actual legitimacy that the far right has, which is quite legitimate and is becoming more and more legitimate every single day, especially when you see attacks like this. The recent success gives him more political clout than a decade ago when his party was on the fringe, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're talking about the Nowak thing. All right, anyway, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think we're gonna stop for tonight. But you guys get the idea. You get the idea. You guys don't have the opinions you do. You know, all that stuff that you were relaying to me in the chat, the stuff that you were like, sharing with me, the guy from England, he doesn't actually think that. No. The only reason you think that is because right-wing agitators like Elon Musk spurred up hate in your head. And all this stuff is just predictable violence and these fucking people. Look, I'm on YouTube. I literally can't say that I support the violence in Belfast. But there's something cathartic about seeing it. There's something about it where you're just kind of like, fucking finally, boys. You know, like I'm shocked it took this long. Honest to God, I really am. Just all the horrific stuff that they've been going through. I'm shocked it took this long. And like I said, I don't know what the outcome would be because this might actually make things worse. You know, all these powerful bureaucratic pieces of shit over there, they might seize the opportunity to clamp down even harder. They might make it even impossible to do anything. It might not be a prison sentence you get. Now it might be you get debanked. Maybe you get deported, you get denaturalized. I don't know. I don't know how far they'll take this. Maybe prison sentences get longer. I don't know. I wonder what the actual outcome of the action will be. But I completely empathize and understand. Like I said, it's like I'm surprised it took this long. I totally fucking get it. But we're going to wrap it up there. I will be doing my show on Sunday on New American Vision, the right-wing pulse. We're going to be having different conversations of the week, different podcasters, different, YouTube videos, the hot topics, that type of stuff where I play those clips and those episodes and we talk about them, break them down. One time I talked about Mansa Musa, who's the fake richest man in history, which was pretty fun. That was a pretty fun video to watch and kind of break down. And we did a debate one time where there was Dave Smith versus John Doyle over at the Blaze, and his just complete MAGA line idiocy, and broke down their discussion too. So that was a lot of fun. So I don't really know what we're doing this Sunday, but be there. I think it's 7 Central, and now I'm on East Coast time, so it's 8 Eastern. Hard for me to remember all that shit, but I'll see you there. That's the next live show I'll be doing. So y'all have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with me, And see you on the next episode of the MFer podcast.